seconds.
No one's done.
We may skip number 2 completely. Yeah. We'll see on time. I'll play with time. Yeah. Great. Great, we're live. So welcome to the June 28th, 2024 meeting of the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees Governance Committee. The meeting is being held in person with some committee members participating remotely. At this time, I will conduct a roll call attendance to determine if a quorum is present. Please clearly respond present via WebEx or present in person when your name is called. Courtney Nicolato, I'm here in person. Vice Chair Placencia.
Present in person.
Charlie Fogarty, which is see him walking in. I'm going to, on his behalf, I will say present in person. Monica Garnes.
Present in person.
Matthew Lenz.
I'll be present in person in like 3 minutes.
So we'll say hybrid present. Joseph Matthews.
Present in person.
Robert Wagan.
Present in person.
David Caprio. Mark Palanche.
Present in person.
Wonderful. Also in attendance is Vice Chair Aman Sabatoni. A quorum is present, and then I'll call the meeting to order. A reminder to all members for the benefit of our audience and for the note taker, please clearly identify yourself whenever you comment, make a motion or a second to a motion. Participants that are using WebEx are required to keep their cameras on as remote members, and all persons present at the meeting location must be clearly audible and visible to one another. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge that the University of Rhode Island occupies the traditional stomping ground of the Narragansett Nation and the Niantic people. I am going to ask that we amend our published agenda today due to time constraints. We're going to start with number 3, and if time allows, we'll tackle a couple of items on number 2. Can I get a motion for that proposed change and for the agenda as a whole, that the URI Board of Trustees Governance Committee approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Charlie.
Second.
Bob, thank you very much. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion for the proposed amended agenda is now approved. The first order of business, we will approve the minutes of the April 8th, 2024 Governance Committee meeting. May I have a motion that the Governance Committee approve the minutes of the April 8th committee meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Monica.
Second, Jay Placenta.
Thank you, Jay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion to approve the April 8th, 2024 committee meeting is approved. The next item on agenda is item number 3, which is our action items. And I'm going to forward to the action items. 3A is the approval of amendments to the URI Board of Trustees remote meeting participation policy and a recommendation to the URI Board of Trustees. I'm going to refer to Board Secretary Michelle Carreri, who's going to provide an explanation of the agenda item. Michelle.
Yes, thank you. So these proposed amendments will align with legislative changes that were made in 2022, specifically Senate Bill S-2372. And this is part of the Open Meetings Act. This authorizes the URI Board of Trustee members to participate remotely in open public meetings with certain requirements. So what we did is we amended those portions of the policy for remote meeting participants to align with the legislation.
Great. Any questions for Michelle? All right, hearing none, may I have a motion?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Bob.
Just a quick question. I assume that our legal counsel has reviewed this and is in sync with this.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
I don't do anything without.
They work lockstep. Good to hear. May I have a motion that the Governance Committee recommend that the URI Board of Trustees approve amendments to the policy on remote meeting participation as presented in the enclosure?
Joseph Matthews, so moved.
Thank you, Joe. May I have a second?
Charlie Fogarty, second.
Thank you, Charlie. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The yeses have it. The motion is approved. Item 3B is the approval of amendments to the university policy on approval of execution of contracts and other binding documents and a recommendation to the URI Board of Trustees. I'm going to refer this to Dan Muse to provide more detail. Dan.
Thanks. Can everyone hear me? Let me check. It's hard to hear from here. So thanks. I'll start with just a quick reminder that the draft edits to this policy were presented to this committee in April. So now we're bringing it to the committee for referral to the Board of Trustees. And then quickly, this policy, just to refresh your memory, the policy controls signature authority and contract review at the university. It was put in place in February of 2023. And the adjustments that you see here in this draft reflect what we might say sort of lessons learned since that time. And the suggested changes make this policy stronger and then more manageable. I'll quickly run through the three primary changes in the policy. If there's any questions, I can answer. The three primary changes here are changes to section 3.1.6 regarding Board of Trustee approvals, whereby the board approval is not required specifically for orders placed under a State of Rhode Island Master Price Agreement or an MPA, or for contracts or other binding documents to which the university agrees to participate in an MPA. An example of that would be the utilities or energy agreement that was discussed at previous meetings. The second change is there's new language specifically addressing change orders or amendments to contracts or other binding documents. Specifically, this language requires that the existing contract with its associated changes receive board approval only when that change is deemed material. And for the purposes of this policy, material would be one, it creates an additional financial obligation exceeding the greater of 1 million or 20% of the value of the original contract or other binding document. Or two, in the judgment of the president in consultation with the vice president for administration and finance and the board chair, that change order significantly alters the nature of the original contract. And then the third change is there's we have made a change to the annual renewal of the delegation of signature authority that has been removed with the intent to add that language into the procedures encouraging regular review of that delegation. And what was determined was this annual process was simply administratively inefficient, too burdensome. Just for informational purposes, these proposed changes have been reviewed by numerous stakeholders across the university, including the Office of General Counsel, Strategic Procurement, Property Services, the Faculty Senate Executive Committee, the Administrative Policy Committee, and the University President. It was available, this policy or the changes for this policy were available for community comment for 2 weeks in March of 2024. That's the quick summary.
Great. Thanks, Dan. Any questions for Dan? All right. Hearing none, may I have a motion that the Governance Committee recommend that the URI Board of Trustees approve the policy on approval and execution of contracts and other binding documents as presented in the enclosure?
Monica Garn, so moved.
Thank you, Monica. May I have a second?
Bob Wiggins, second.
Thank you, Bob. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The yeses have it. The motion is approved. Item 3C is the approval of the URI Board of Trustees non-discrimination and sexual misconduct policy and the recommendation to the URI Board of Trustees. I will refer this to Assistant Vice President Kara Larson.
Thank you. So back in 2022, the Department of Education proposed new regulations to implement Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in education. We worked on a policy for about a year as we waited for the final regulations to be implemented, to be finalized and published. They came out in April of this year, so we sent the policy through the Administrative Policy Committee. It was reviewed. We sent it out for public comment for 2 weeks. Those comments were reviewed and incorporated as necessary into the policy. And now it is before this committee for recommendation to the full board for approval. One thing I would just point out is that we currently do have two policies, one on sexual misconduct that deals a lot with Title IX, and other forms of sexual misconduct that fall outside of Title IX, and another one for non-discrimination, which basically implements Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. because the current regulations have changed the definition of sex discrimination under Title IX to align very closely to sex discrimination under Title VII, it made more sense to us to combine the two policies into a single policy. And that's why we're here today with a single policy on non-discrimination and sexual misconduct that will eventually replace the two current policies.
Thank you, Kara. Any questions for Kara? All right. Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion that the Governance Committee recommend that the URI Board of Trustees approve the policy on non-discrimination and sexual misconduct as presented in the enclosure.
Matt Len, so moved.
Thank you, Matt. May I have a second?
Charlie Coogan, second.
Thank you, Charlie. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion is approved. We're going to go back up to number 2, which is discussion items. Thank you, Kara and Dan. A couple of items just to note, and as discussed, we are a bit of time constraint today, so we'll highlight just a couple of things. One is around the review of the URI Board of Trustees bylaws. Margot's unable to join us this morning, so I'll just share that tis the season for the review of our bylaws, and so we'll be starting that process in the next few meetings. So just wanted to share with the group that that is coming. So more to come on that. Item 2B is board goals and KPIs, and I'll defer to our Vice Chair, Jay Placencia.
Very good. Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to remind everyone, we sent last month the statement of expectations and also some board goals and KPIs, which we will be measuring, once a year and every 5 years. It's attached in the enclosure, but what I'll just summarize. A couple of the goals are really around making sure that the board is engaged, in front of student opportunities and also just overall URI activities. The first KPI, I'll just share, just talks about, we will measure that 90% of URI trustees attend at least 3 URI-related events each year. The second piece is around making sure that we further the mission, which is outlined in the strategic plan. And in essence, says trustees aim to contribute time, talent, and treasures to furthering the priorities that are in the strategic plan. Michelle and the staff has done a really great job gathering the data. It's in your enclosure. If there are any questions, please let me know. What I will say is that she will gather the data and will share it with us once a year. And I think that's in essence the report. Any questions?
Any questions for Jay?
We did give people time to review and make changes, and we've received everyone's input so far, and it's all been captured. So thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And this will really guide how we think about things like board retreat, which we're having today, and what topics we want to make sure we're focusing on, but also how we make opportunities available for our trustees. So I really thank you, Jay and Michelle, and everyone who put that together. So appreciate it. Item C is reviewing the criteria for board members. And so this is proposing updates to our statement of expectations. You did receive via email the statement expectations along with the board goals and KPIs. Really the only change here and focus here is around aligning our KPIs with the statement of expectations. So hopefully any questions or concerns on that? All right. I am going to defer item 2D because we'll be talking about it at the board retreat today. So any questions or any feedback on self-assessment results, let me know. But I will say overall, we had an 81% response rate. When looking at the results, pretty much no big whammies or surprises that came out. I think we've been really focused as a board to be a good governing board, but also making sure it's a meaningful experience for all our board members. And I think the data and insights provided some good validation of that. Item 2E is the Board of Trustees composition matrix. So this is something that we do every year to really assess our representation on this board, as well as the diverse skills that each and every one of our individuals of our trustees bring to the table. And so we have looked at a quick review of the questions, again, also wanting to align it with anything that we may be missing aligned with the KPIs. And so we just a quick review of the questions. We do ask for some demographic data and information around our board members. We also ask for a self-assessment on skills that each are bringing to the table. And so that is really allows us to then do a representation, present that to the governor every year to say, hey, this is the breakout of our board members and what we all bring to the table. And here's where there might be areas of opportunity. So we are planning, I'm looking at Michelle, we are planning to send that out shortly, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. And we'll ask the board members to complete that. And then this governance committee will see the results and then we'll assess from there. Any questions? Great. And then I'll just note on 2F, a committee membership update. So David Moderano, which we're excited to welcome back, has replaced Richard Humphrey on both the academic affairs and research, as well as the institutional risk and compliance committees. And so that is the extent of membership changes that have been made to date. There may be a couple of more, but Margot has shared that that's it right now. So wanted to share that. All right. And next item on agenda is Charlie Fogarty's favorite, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn Charlie Fogarty? May I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. The motion to adjourn is approved. The next URI Board of Trustees Governance Committee is slated for September 18th, 2024. For folks viewing online, we'll see you in 24 minutes for the board meeting. Thanks so much.
Okay.